We can start recording. Welcome, Horatio.
Shakeel, this is not your show. Not yet, anyway. Listen.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. You have very graciously welcomed me into your home, and for that, I thank you.
You're not most welcome, as I said already 3 times.
Good God, man. Thank you. Listen, you've been here a while, and by here, I mean this country. I have a very pertinent question to ask you. So, let me tee this up for you a little bit. So, this country has gone through a couple of changes in terms of governmental administration and who we decide rules this country. Do you know, after all these years spent here, who is the longest serving monarch of Romania?
That's the emperor, the king.
Who's the king?
Florin Salam.
That is correct. I swear to God, we did not set this up. I knew he would say this, but I did not set this up. Bro,
yes,
that is like the one thing that I'm pretty sure we could all agree got you and I to be friends very quickly, didn't it?
Yes. Remember when someone, royalty, died or whatever, the king died, and whatnot, and I came to your office back then, let's call it an office. Like, is Florin Salam dead?
Right.
That was the actual question. And then we were so happy that he was still alive that I think we went straight to a Maneloteca party.
Oh, because I'm pretty sure the actual king of Romania he hadn't been the king for like 50-something, 60-something years, but I think the actual king of Romania died then. It was about 2017. When did the king of Romania die?
No idea.
But in any event...
Pre-pandemic, when we were still going to the office.
Jesus Christ, man. Pre-pandemic was bananas. What was that nigga? The King Michael. King Michael the First. Not his coup. What's his... Do you remember this guy? He's a pretty dashing gentleman.
Looks like he comes from one of those Hollywood movies.
Well, he doesn't. He comes from 2017. Dude, you're right. We were working together back then. That was fucking bananas. Shakeel and I used to work together and had worked together for a couple of years. But my question, more pertinently to you to start off, is who the fuck got you into Manele in the first place? Because it wasn't me. I may have helped you along the way, but it definitely wasn't me who got you started, because you knew way more than I would have expected somebody to do at that point.
To be very honest, I accidentally stumbled on it because I was looking for random Romanian songs or whatever, and instead of going for the crane that goes up and down, I forgot the name of the song, but there is one about the crane.
The crane going up and down?
Yeah, something like that. There is a song about the crane.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's fine. And
but that sounds interesting.
Yes, it's an old song. And then I stumbled upon the other things, which are quite melodious, let's say. First is the whole ballads and whatnot and things like that. So yes, that's how I got there.
You mean like the sadder Manele songs?
No, the more pop-related songs.
Okay, because we tend to like categorize Manele in two major categories. So we have Manele de petrecere, you know what that is, right? Like party Manele. And we have Manele de Jale. Jale being sadness.
Yeah, no, man, that's sad.
Bro, some of those are really nice, trust me. There's one particular one that I usually listen to. You know when you have those bouts of sadness? I don't want to call it a depression, really, because it's, depression is a whole thing.
When you have a blue Monday.
When you have a blue Monday. And you feel like shit's not really going your way, but the next day you feel much better. There's this song by Florin Salam. You probably heard of it, even though you may not think of it as a Manea de Jale. It's called A ieșit soarele din nori, which means the sun is now out of the clouds, technically speaking. Bro, that song always cheers me the fuck up, because that man has clearly gone through shit the moment he realizes that the shit has gone through, has been gone through, or whatever you want to call it, and you're finally at the end of the terrible streak.
Also, I stumbled upon Taraf TV.
Taraf TV is a fucking treat, isn't it?
Yes.
What do you remember about the first time you saw it?
No, the first time I saw it, I think I got DG for the first time, and actually got the cable part from DG for the first time. And I was just randomly going through things, and there was something called Taraf TV, and there was some musical, whatever, commercial on it.
Sure.
But then they moved on to selling things.
They do that.
Yeah, so the first part is selling things, and then suddenly it started. And then it started with the whole Manele part. But the funniest thing is that with most of the songs that I saw on there, they were mostly copied from Bollywood songs. Yeah, you like
Bollywood songs, really?
Yeah, like the same tune, but the words just translated, and that's it.
That's fucking bananas. No, I know they do a lot of that stuff. Like you know, our particular, the two of ours favorite Florin Salam song, Saint-Tropez. Shout out Florin Salam. Shout out Saint-Tropez. You know that's.
Don't forget L'Algerino.
L'Algerino. Marrakesh, Saint-Tropez.
Welcome.
Jesus Christ. You remember, that's originally a song by a dude called Aziz, who, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that dude is Bulgarian. He is, I don't use the term flaming gay very often, but that dude is flaming gay. Picture a man who's about as tall as you are, Shakeel here being of, what would I call it? Dutch, Surinamese, Indian descent. Let's call it that. You are a fairly tall individual, even though it may not look like it from this perspective on camera. That man is somehow a little taller than you, wears high heels, has his beard dyed, is also shaved, has a shaved head, makeup and all that kind of stuff, wearing glittery clothes and what have you, and sings the Saint-Tropez song in Bulgarian, from what I can gather. And that song by Florin Salam is the entire track with just different lyrics. You should watch it sometime.
Okay.
It is
Definitely.
bananas.
Oh, wow.
But I was...
It's a bit like what in the butt from South Park versus the other guy.
Oh, no, it's way gayer than that.
It's way gayer?
It's way gayer.
Okay.
Like oily men gay. It's bananas. Have you ever seen that?
I see why you call him flaming gay.
It's really gay, man. What was I going to ask you about, Manalem? Oh yeah, Taraf TV. You said you were watching Taraf TV. You know what? You know what I particularly like about that particular cable channel? It's crazy. It's one of the. It's exactly like a Romanian Cocalar party. You are familiar with Cocalar, are you not?
Some people might call me Cocalar.
No. Who are those people? Besides me and you. You know why it's exactly like a Cocalar
I think
party?
we're not naming people, right, on the show.
No, I mean we named you and myself, but we're scumbags.
There would be a big list.
Yeah, what?
Would be a big list.
That would be a pretty big list. What I like about that particularly is the fact that you can change the song. So if somebody's enjoying a song that you requested, you can text message the people at the network to change the song so you could hear your song. That is the most Cocalar party thing you could possibly imagine, man. That is what I grew up with in this country.
It's not a Cocalar thing, man. That's a Western Europe kind of thing.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we used to have like, well, you know MTV, right?
Sure.
We had a version called TMF.
Right.
And we had something called The Box.
Okay.
And The Box was just playing whatever music MTV was playing. So because back then MTV was still a music channel.
Oh.
Right?
As opposed to right now.
As opposed to right now. No shout out to you, MTV.
Fuck you, MTV.
Yes. So, well, I think we're going to have a cat issue in a moment.
Hey, don't worry about it, man. She's welcome.
Yes. So, you could actually text all kinds of weird things there. Like, hey, please play this song. And then you had to text a message and it would be calculated maybe €2 or whatever. It was one text, the price of one text. And everything went on there. I love you. I want to take you anally. I'm going to kill you. Where is my money? We have seen all those things, like with songs and whatnot. But it was
want to take you.
yes, but it was like this. How do you call it? They were requesting like a different type of music, so not really the pop music. Let's say it went more into the underground, the UK garage part, the hip hop. Let's say.
Right.
So there was no Rammstein or whatsoever.
This was on the box.
No shout out to you, Rammstein.
We're sorry, Rammstein. If you're watching, and we know that you are. On that topic, you mentioned a couple of times when we were talking about doing this that you at one point hosted a radio show.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Man,
I'm really curious.
It was amazing. We had this Surinamese radio show. It still exists.
In the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands, yes. Right. Shout out to that one. Sorry that I can't name you, but shout out to that one. But it was a guy who actually started a project to keep younger people off the street.
Okay.
And they were looking for, how do you call that, directors and whatnot, and producers and people who would like to have a show. So my best friend and I and another dude, no shout out to other dude, started a show called Weekend Vibes. Sure. So every Friday from 7 till 10 and right. Later on from 8 till 11 we had a show consisting out of 3 hours where we were guiding the people into the weekend.
Right.
And we would start with some random music and what we did throughout the week and whatnot.
Okay. So you have a chat between yourselves.
Yeah, yes.
amongst
Basically,
yourselves.
like three guys. Basically, what we're doing now, and
Right.
one of us was the producing stuff, and the other two were just talking, and we
Sure.
would select music and whatnot, and play it, and talk about random things. If there was something serious to discuss, we did. For example, we took the elections and whatnot, but brought it into a bit of a lighter vibe. Afterwards, the second hour, we always had the party agenda. Because, hey, people need to know where they should party.
And you guys were the people that let people know how to where to party.
Exactly, because back then, internet was not really a thing yet, right?
You're not that old, Shakeel. What are you talking about? When was this?
Man, this was 15, 17, probably, I think, 18 years ago.
18 years ago, so 2005. Dude, I was in Eastern Europe and I had an internet connection. Are
We
you
did
serious?
not, well, we had internet connection, but we did not really have the part where parties were promoted online.
Okay,
because
no,
it's
you're right. I
still
have to
went,
think about it.
Yes, it still went through paper magazine, mouth to mouth, flyers
radio.
on the radio. And after that, we had the freaky news.
Freaky news.
Freaky
What was
news.
that?
So basically, we were looking for the weirdest things that we found on the internet, like the weirdest news whatsoever. I remember that some chick in Brazil did a butt lift, but she put cement in there.
I heard about that.
That was on our show.
I probably heard it from your show.
And then afterwards, we had a classic hour, which was a throwback party songs.
Classic. Okay, so still party music.
So party music, but from different eras. And
Right.
then it ended, and then other people took over for the night shift, and we went to party. Actually, what I learned there is how precious minutes are and how long they can take.
Oh, dude.
That's insane.
For sure, man. Like, it's kind of like what I see people. And I have a couple of friends who are in the entertainment business, whether they're in television or movies or stand-up comedy or music or whatever. A live show is something you will not understand until you actually do it, because you think you have 20 minutes. I can talk for 20 minutes. I can be funny for 20 minutes. I can be interesting for 20 minutes. No, you can't. If you're put on the spot, it's obviously you can, but if you're put on the spot, it's not as easy as you think, man. And this always fascinated me about stand-up comedy, because everybody thinks that, because their friends think they're funny, they think they're funny, and they may very well be funny, but having an entire 5 minutes, not more than that, of comedy up your sleeve just to pull out at a moment's notice, that makes you a borderline professional comedian.
True. We actually tried to improvise a show.
Right.
Like, so fully improvise. That did not work out well.
Really?
Yeah, we lost the structure, we lost what to look for, we were like Googling on the spot, like what news to look for, blah, 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 what songs to put for, and it only took us an hour to actually prepare the stuff.
Right.
So we would like come together on a Thursday, go through whatever news, pick out the songs or whatever, and then, yes, I'm gonna have to talk about this, and this, okay, done, move.
So you still had a kind of a semi-scripted show. You still
Yes.
had a bit of a structure.
You have a structure, so what we were actually talking about was obviously improvised and whatnot.
Sure.
But the subjects were there, let's say.
Right, you had talking points.
Yes, and that made it a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Improvising was terrible.
Most people still do that on podcasts. Listen, if you ask me about 15, 20 years ago, if anybody would have said this kind of format, like obviously not this one in particular, but this kind of format, if you would have told me that this is the kind of stuff people listen to, like let's take Joe Rogan, for instance. That dude has got the biggest audience in any media right now, of anywhere. That dude barely prepares for anything. And when I say he prepares for things, he reads books about really smart people he has over, but if he's got comedians over or entertainers, he's going to talk about shit and do drugs or whatever the fuck they do, but they never really prepare. And he does 3 hours, and a lot of these guys do 3 hours on it, and that's what people like. I remember at one point I had a conversation a little while back with a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist in a previous episode. And I could just, my mother watches this. I don't know if she's going to watch this. She
Hello,
probably
Mom.
will watch. Hi, Mom.
That was the first actual shout out. We named someone.
Hey, Mom. I obviously had no idea about a lot of the things this guy was talking about, because he's a psychiatrist, and I know all of the medicine I know I learned from House MD, and I had no idea about a lot of the things he was saying, and as a result, you could tell that I said some stupid things. I had no idea. And I'm pretty sure my mother's reaction, because she's mentioned this a couple of times, would have been, oh, you should have looked that up. You seem silly. You have no idea. But that's the fun of this kind of format, man. Because I'm being genuine. Like, I have no idea what this stuff is about. I'm actually asking you a question, and that guy, as a scientist, asking a question and finding out in real time, rather than pretending I know things and just reading off of a thing.
I think it depends on the role that you're having, right? I mean, right now we're having a casual conversation about this, right? So you're open to feedback and whatever not. But if you're in the role of actually interviewing someone, right? So let's say that I would be some famous random person.
Sure.
Like whatever, some Manila singer like Shakeel or whatever.
Shakeel.
I shouted out myself. We call the show Shout Out, by the way. But then it would be very different, right? Because then you would actually somehow like prepare with some basic questions as in, hey, how did you get into Manele? Hey, wait, that's how we started. How did you get into Manele? Can you do some live tracks? What is new? What is upcoming? Things like that. So you would have prepared and try to debunk maybe something if the dude was talking bullshit, yes or no, right? Can I say bullshit? Yes, I can.
Sure. You know what the thing is? That's a bit of a different format. If you have a limited time frame, and this used to be a thing on television, because talk shows used to have like a 10-15 minute segment in an interview. Like, you would imagine that the big guest of the evening was George Clooney, but you actually only had like 12 minutes on camera.
The big guest was the host.
Exactly.
Always.
Yeah. So as a result, Conan O'Brien had to prepare questions, had to think about how long the answer of his guests would be. So he have a structure. They'd have a talk. It was mostly improvised, obviously, but it wouldn't really exceed a certain amount of time. I have some talking points, and I thought of some things I wanted to ask you. We're probably not going to get through all of them, but at the same time, I'm way more content actually talking to you and seeing how this interaction goes and where it goes, rather than finding things out.
Interesting. With interview techniques, for example, what they used to do was, because we interviewed a couple of artists as well.
Sure.
And their management actually needed us to send over the questions, do a declaration that we're only going to ask those questions and that is it. And we would get the answers straight away with the question, hey, would you do any follow-up questions on that? Yes or no? If no, then no. So you actually were able to like put the entire interview in a very specific time slot. It does not give you a lot of creativity,
right? Because
you become very much you're just executing the whole part. So that's not as fun as having a free flow interview.
It becomes more journalism than anything else, if you ask me, which is fine. I used to be one of those people, unfortunately. No shout outs to journalism, not from my perspective anyway, not what it's become, but then again, that's subjective. Let me toss it over to a question I have for you. Like I said, you've been here a while. Can curent make you sick? That was exactly the type of crickets I was looking for. Do you know what I mean by curent?
You mean when I wash my non-existent hair and I go outside and I will get sick?
Exactly.
So I had to like process it, because I was like, why on earth are you asking me this? For what? For this beautiful lunch or whatever?
Well, you know, it's not just that.
Of course drafts. It makes you sick, man.
So you are of those people. This is a question that divides people in this country, if you ask me, man.
Well, obviously, if you wash your hair and you go out straight in the winter, you get sick.
Do you?
Yes.
You're sure?
Of course you
I'm not contradicting you. I'm just...
Let's say, logically speaking, I wash my hair and I run straight out, being all wet and whatnot in minus whatever.
Sure.
Think you get sick. I don't think it matters anything in the summer, because it would just dry out and like...
But how would just the cold air make you sick, though?
I thought we were doing like random stuff and no science stuff, but I think you can just read that question on Wikipedia or whatever.
I have no
idea
whatsoever.
I have no idea.
I'm asking you this because I remember at one point, one of the first foreigners I used to talk to as a kid, I was in college. We had this, let's call him a professor in university. I want to shout him out. He's not going to watch this, but shout out my man Harrison Ford. His name was actually Harrison Ford. It wasn't a pseudonym. And he'd been hanging out for a while with us, and he'd been hanging out with
us. You went to Indiana Jones School?
I went to Indiana Jones School. No, he was just a nice dude. Dude from Mississippi. Genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever met. So Harrison Ford was hanging out with a lot of other Romanian people. And at one point, we were out drinking. He came out a little later. sits down really flustered at the table, starts talking to all of us in turn, and then at one point it dawns on him that he has this question, and he stops the conversation between like, I don't know, 5, 10, 6, 10, 12 people, whatever the fuck, however many of us there were there, and he immediately claps his hands and says, "Guys, curent, can it make you sick?" And you could immediately see the table go halfway or one way or the other, because everybody had a take on it. Everybody was 100% convinced that there is no way a draft can just make you sick because there's no, I don't know, pathogens in it. Whereas everybody else was convinced as a child by their parents or by circumstances or actually getting sick that yes, curent can make you sick.
Wait. But what if I'm sleeping and I'm having curent?
Da.
I'm sick the next morning.
Shit.
Like you have the whole runny nose, like a sort of cold kind of... Man, that proves it.
Listen, if we're going to go into science...
Works out. Current makes you sick. Done.
Listen, if we're gonna go the scientific route, technically speaking, yes, you have a lot of bacteria in you. The cold air does make you does lower your immune system, and the bacteria that was otherwise harmless suddenly becomes harmful. But yeah, it does. It is one of those things that does.
So which side are you on?
I'm gonna be the exact opposite side of the one that you're on, because I always found it a little silly. Just going out, you know, I wouldn't do it because it's uncomfortable, and I don't do it. But Jesus fucking Christ, Shakeel, why are you here? And I don't mean your lovely apartment.
Why am I here?
How long have you been here?
How long have I been here?
Yes, and then we'll get to why. How long have you been in Romania? Because I don't think I know that, actually. I met you in 2017.
This is me grabbing my phone.
And you were here before I was in this lovely Transylvanian town of
I think I can
Romania.
do this faster, but I don't think the actual resource will help me out.
Is it 2016?
I don't know.
How do you not
Can
know?
someone text me?
Do you know how old you were when you moved here then?
No.
Maybe we can backtrack.
So apparently in 2017 I was working where we were working in July. I also did that in May.
Right.
Good thing for calendar. So let's skip 2016.
Riveting content. Shakeel going through his calendar always gets me.
Ooh.
I think it was 2016 if I think about it. I'm really curious, to be honest with you, why Romania? Not that there's anything wrong with it.
6th of July.
6th of July.
I had the plane at 10:50.
10:50, 2016, 6th of July. So you were here.
I arrived here. I arrived in Romania, in Bucharest actually.
Really?
Yeah. At 15:35. In Cluj, 18:20.
It's bananas, man. So you're looking at like if you're completing the purchase on those plane tickets. What are you thinking when you're doing that? Yeah, had you ever been here visiting before that?
I didn't pay for the plane.
Oh, you know what I mean, smartass.
What are you thinking? I don't know.
Had you ever been here before you moved?
No, I have not been to Romania before I moved.
So what convinced you that this would be a good idea? Well, not a good. What convinced you to do it? The entrepreneurial adventure. Because I'll tell you, that's what I did before I moved to Poland. I never even considered visiting Poland before I moved there.
I don't know. It was just there. It was an option. And it basically rolled out as in, why not? Let's see what happens. That's basically it. Like, nothing else.
How did it turn out? Do you enjoy it? Why are you staring at me?
Well, I guess I am enjoying it.
You're enjoying it, aren't you?
I'm still here.
Do you think there will come a point where you considered buying property and settling down with a life partner here?
Wait. This is a very tricky question.
Of course it is, but answer it.
I think you asked me this question too late. If you would have asked me this question, I think 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said yes. But it already happened.
Oh my God! So are you telling me we are in your lovely...
I dodged that bullet.
You
nice try.
Are you trying to win this conversation? So you're telling me we are in this lovely apartment of yours that you own.
I'm a proprietar.
You are a proprietar. You are a scumbag landlord. Well, you live in your own apartment, so I guess you're not a landlord. Who has not only decided to live here for the foreseeable future, but actually has decided to start a future here with a spouse. Is that right?
That's right.
That's fucking crazy, bro.
So, just to deep dive on that one, I think Romania itself and the people here in Cluj. So, I'm going to talk about Cluj and not about other cities because I haven't lived there, so I can't compare.
Sure, that's fine.
But when I got here, the people were very friendly, right? And then people were very helpful, which was quite nice. Except for a pension I was in.
A pensione?
Yeah, we started in a pension, right? So we got
So
that.
did I.
But oh god, that woman was horrible.
Did she work there?
Yeah, she owned the place, man. She was freaking horrible. I was this close to burning it down.
Oh shit, was it the one close to work?
Yeah.
Oh, I stayed there too.
Yeah, man. Oh, terrible. Alright.
Oh.
That was my very bad experience.
Right.
Afterwards, when I got my own apartment and whatnot, it went way better. Shout out to my awesome landlord, though.
Which one?
Nelu.
Which place?
I named him. That was his
So
name.
you don't know his name, you just call him Nelu.
He introduced himself as Nelu,
Oh.
but the guy was fucking awesome. Like, I had to pay rent, right? And I was supposed to pay an X amount in euros. So he said, nah, just give me a fixed amount in lei. Okay, so I would go take out the money, blah, blah, blah. And then someone would always go with me, and because the guy didn't speak English whatsoever, right? Because he spoke Italiano,
My people.
your people. And then we got there, and then, like, every time I gave him the rent, he gave me, like, 200 lei back, and he said, pentru femei.
Oh my god. Did you know that while he was doing? I mean, I'm sure you found out pretty quickly, but did you know that while he was dishing out the dough? Oh my god!
So I always got 200 lei back from the rent, and I did not complain whatsoever.
That Nelu sounds like a fucking piece
Yeah,
of work.
yeah.
That's crazy. You never told me that. So
But
funny.
a super nice landlord, and
I can imagine.
I would think I would have stayed there, but the apartment was it was pretty okayish, but not that nice, let's say.
Right. Okay, that's dope.
So that was the one thing. The other thing is that Cluj is a pretty lively city,
Sure.
and there is a lot of people and things to do, which makes it pretty nice. I mean, in Rotterdam, if you wanted to go out drinking or whatnot, you would drink at someone's place because going to the bar was way too expensive.
Sure.
I mean, I think I paid one time for a taxi from the center to home. I think it was 70-80 euros. Just one freaking trip.
Was that one around what time?
2015-ish.
2015, bro.
Yeah, because if you order a taxi here, you don't pay for the dude coming to pick you up, right?
Okay.
So there, if you call a taxi, you're also paying for the fee that he needs to drive to you.
We do that here too, but only if it's really further outside the city limits.
Mm-hmm.
So it within B.U.G right now, it technically still counts. So I don't think anybody's gonna charge you anything. But if you're like in Dej,
Like Mera or whatever, yeah.
Mera or something, they're not gonna.
Yeah, I can understand that part, but if you're freaking 5 minutes away by the car, why? But
That's
also not only the taxis do it, but also like plumbers.
Did they charge you a fee to get to your?
Yeah. You wanted to work in Dutch, voorrijkosten. So pre-drive costs.
Right.
So they actually charge you. It's like actually on the bill. So getting there, the amount of gas, tools used, blah 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 blah, and then it heaps up.
That's crazy, man. I mean, technically speaking, they do have a charge here for whenever they show up, even if they don't do anything, because it's for the time. But I don't think it's I don't think it includes that. Well, you know.
Well, maybe it's constructed into the price, right? Probably, but it's separate. What else? Well, I met you, obviously.
Obviously, that was a defining characteristic of your time in Romania, I'm sure, as it was for me meeting you. Definitely.
And life is just different. It's nicer. Like if you drive a couple of hours away from where you are, you're in a totally different place. Like the scenery is different, nature is different, people are different, food is different. Food's not that thing, but okay.
Oh, we're gonna get into food. Don't worry about it.
I know that we're going to get there. But compared to Holland, right? We went a couple of weeks or a month ago. Thank you for taking care of the cats, by the way. There, I did it live. How does that make you feel?
Wow, lovely.
But it's basically just highway, random trees, random cows, more highway, lots of city stuff and whatnot, and that's it. But the parties are better, though.
In Rotterdam. So walk me through this a little bit. You were born in Suriname, but you said you moved as a young kid to the Netherlands, right?
You need to explain where Suriname is.
That's right. I was actually gonna get into that, cause
no, wait. Our producer can put like a thingy, like it's there.
He's
like
not gonna do that.
It's here. Put it here.
You're gonna have to Google Suriname if you don't know where it is.
Come on, man. The editor can put it here.
He's probably not.
Put it on the elephant. Put it on
the elephant in the room. Suriname. Where is Suriname?
South America, above Brazil.
America. Above Brazil. See, I knew that. Not to toot my own horn, but I knew that. But I was shocked when friends of mine met you. One of whom is a very good friend of yours now. Who had no idea where Suriname was.
That guy, I'm not going to say names, but he thought it was in close to Sri Lanka somewhere.
There you go.
Actually, an island next to Sri Lanka. I didn't know there was an island next to Sri Lanka.
I didn't know Sri Lanka was... I'm kidding. But...
shout out to you too.
Shout out to you too. Not the band. Fuck them. Ethnically, you're Indian though.
Yes.
So you can imagine if you're not that good at geography, letting people know that you are ethnically Indian and telling them you're from South America, that's a bit of a mind fuck.
Well, depends on. I mean,
because aside from Suriname, sorry to cut you off, but aside from Suriname, there's not that many Indian people.
Yeah, man. There is a whole West Indies community. There is Guyana, French Guyana. There is the Antilles. There is Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh shit! I forgot about the Caribbean islands.
Yes, right. the Caribbean, the whole West Indies part is there. Right. If you would play cricket, you would know that. Not I know how to play cricket, but those people know.
Bro, I don't know anything about cricket. You know what always fascinates me? Since there's so many Indian people in the world and subsequently so many Indian people online, whenever there's a cricket test or tournament, or I think it's a cricket test. Is what the tournament's called. Anyway, whenever that's happening in the news. The most viewed articles on Wikipedia are about cricket. And it fascinates me because I don't know anybody that knows anything about cricket.
They're very stylish when they play cricket.
I
mean, like they have these like suit pants and then a shirt with buttons and then like a Spencer, a nice hat.
A what?
Glove. A Spencer.
A Spencer? What's a Spencer?
A vest.
Oh, okay.
Like a vest for... how do you... like a nice vest.
All right.
For...
a dress vest.
Yes, a dress vest.
Right.
And they're going full out with their very white shoes that never seem to get dirty.
That's crazy.
And they somehow fling a ball.
But it's a thing for like, obviously the English brought it to wherever they went. And it became a big thing in Australia and New Zealand, as I understand. And especially in India and surrounding territories that they colonized. Is that right?
Yes, for the West Indies, it's the part that had a lot to do with England, let's say, so Trinidad, Tobago, those kind. But like for Suriname, which was a colony of the Netherlands, it never happened.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
There's only 500,000 people there, or so 600,000, maybe no.
Are you serious in the entirety of Suriname?
Yeah, wait, let's Google it. Shouldn't be that much.
I always remember that Surinamese Independence Day is in November. Because two Dutch dudes, friends of ours, I think of yours, Joe. I don't know. We used to work together at least. They celebrate their birthday. Both of them celebrate their birthday in November. And they'd always compromise to do it on the same day. And Surinamese Independence Day is like in the middle of their... sandwiched in between their birthdays. So we'd always celebrate their birthdays on Surinamese Independence Day. And I always asked them, hey, bro, what
632,000 people.
600,000 people. It's not that big of a country, landmass wise either, is it? 163,821
square kilometers.
I have no idea how much that is, but it sounds like a lot. South America is deceptively large, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, you moved from Suriname at a slightly tender age, from what I remember, to the Netherlands, and lived there for the most of your adult life until moving to until becoming. I love the fact that we both did that at the same time. Before becoming Shakeel from Baciu. Shakeel din Baciu or Shakeel de la Baciu? What do you call it? What do you refer to?
That's a good one.
Fuck.
I think I will go for both.
Man. You're just gonna confuse the fans.
No, I can just go for Shakeel de la și din Baciu.
For everybody who doesn't know you, but and specifically for people who know me that have met you, you are and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up your ass, but you are a phenomenal fucking cook, Shakeel.
Thank you. I'm truly humbled by your words.
I'm sure you are.
But I'm smug right now.
I know you can't deal with a compliment either. I have trouble with that too. I get it. But moving past that, before we started this, you made us a delicious meal of vegetarian ramen that was bananas, genuinely. And segueing off of that a little bit, I'm genuinely curious because I don't think I ever actually asked you this. Where does this actually come from? Why are you so into cooking?
Man, it's very easy. I like to eat.
Sure.
And I like tasty things.
Right.
So when I was growing up, Dad was the one that was able to cook. Mom's cooking was, let's say, not up to that level. And Mom was more of an easy cook, right?
Sure.
Also worked the entire day, just had to feed everyone, blah, blah, blah. So here is something easy.
How many siblings are there? Are we talking?
Just a brother.
Okay. So just two.
Yeah, and then like you had food that you actually like really did not really like, and then you just started to cook yourself because you wanted to have tasty things. There are actually pictures of me which I don't have of being 4 or 5 years old cooking stuff. So I think it has always been like a passion of mine, or however you want to put it. But yeah, I truly enjoy cooking. But what I actually enjoy the most is cooking with someone.
Right.
It's a very nice thing to have people over when you cook together, right? Because to me, cooking is not just providing myself with a meal so I survive. It's the whole experience around it, right? You create something, you have something nice, you do it in good company. It has a lot of positive vibes, and plus the world is missing a lot of positivity.
Hey man, preaching to the choir. I know what you mean though. Whenever I cook with somebody, especially with a significant other, I always find it very, very therapeutic. It's a bonding experience too. It's something that I'm not a particular good cook myself, but I do enjoy dicing a vegetable once in a while or whatever. I don't eat meat, so I don't really know a lot about any of that stuff. But I would imagine like having somebody dice the vegetables and somebody fillet the fish or whatever is something very.
It's a nice
you're
thing.
both working towards a common goal.
Exactly, and the whole part where you actually taste something, and like for example, I think it maybe needs more salt, and the other one says no, it doesn't need more salt. It maybe needs a bit of more of a sour component. I think that ultimately creates the best dish, because it's actually created together and not like by one single person. Here is food and eat.
I always think about you whenever I cook with somebody and somebody asks me how much of that should you put in there and how much of that you should put in there, because whenever you cook something really delicious, I'm curious to ask you what it is, what you put in it, especially if it has like some ingredients that I never had. Like for instance, today, what did you put in the ramen, just to give me an idea?
The dashi powder?
Yeah, I have no idea what that was. You put seaweed in it, you put carrots.
Shout out to the seaweed, because it was actually pretty good.
The seaweed was phenomenal.
Yes.
Right.
It came from a package.
No, it didn't. So the seaweed, you had ginger in it, you had carrots, you had udon noodles, you had chili, you had a buttload of items, of ingredients, of individual things in that thing, which is crazy to me. And I like I said earlier, I always think about, I always quote it to people when somebody asks me about that. So how much cardamom powder do you put in that? And I'm like, I don't fucking know, about this much. Because whenever I used to ask you, you always say, I don't know, this seems like the correct amount. And I'm like, how do you know that?
I have absolutely no idea.
There you go.
It just goes there. It goes like, okay, just try this, and if it doesn't work out, you try to mitigate that. But what I always do though is I put a bit less of what I think it should be.
Okay, why is that?
Because if it's too much, I can't fix it. If it's less, I can still fix it.
That's smart. I always used to have that the earliest, obviously not even remotely close to in complexity to what you're talking about, but the earliest memory I have of this is you've had ciorba multiple times, and we have it sour. Most of it is sour, so we usually sour it with either lemons, but mostly with vinegar. It's usually grape vinegar. And I would like it very sour. I still like things very sour. My vinaigrettes are basically make your face implode for the amount of vinegar that's in them. And my grandmother would always have me put my own amount of vinegar in it. And I'd always just pour an excessive amount into it. And at one point, she just said, stop it. And I was like, but I like it really sour. And she's like, that's great. But put an amount of vinegar in the spoon. Toss it in the ciorba, mix it around, taste it, and then see if you like it. Because if you put too much, you're just drinking fucking vinegar. And she's right, man.
Yes,
but yeah, that's the kind of shit.
It's the same with salt, right? You over salt and you never fix it.
What's your favorite ciorba, Shakeel?
Ciorba de puia la grec. Shout out.
God fucking damn it, man. That is fucking
it's
crazy,
my
isn't it?
favorite ciorba whatsoever.
Yeah? What about ciorba de burtă?
Nah.
No, not your thing?
I had it a couple of times, mostly being hangover.
Oh, but that's what people... I think I had ciorba de burtă once as a child, if I'm honest with you. But everybody says it's the best thing you can have on a hangover.
Nah.
Really?
There's also people saying that pickle juice is the best thing to have as a hangover, but...
I don't find that to be a good idea either.
So,
way too acidic.
Yeah, that doesn't work. No, ciorba de puia la grec is pretty good. Recently, since we're going veggie, I'm making it with mushrooms.
Really?
Yeah. It's fucking great.
Of course it is, man.
By the way, mushrooms is still meat.
Mushrooms is still meat. We agreed on this earlier. Mushrooms are meat, man, which is kind of starting to make me doubt my own dietary restrictions, self-imposed dietary restrictions, but still.
Fair point. As long as it doesn't grow out of your ear,
hey,
it should
man,
be good.
I've been doing my best to trim them, the mushrooms in the ears. Because whenever somebody describes a mushroom for you, what's the adjective that they use for the most part? When somebody says the mushroom is good, what do they say? Because most of the time I hear it's meaty, which you don't really hear about any other vegetables. You only hear about mushrooms. You don't really hear they have a very meaty asparagus. You hear about mushrooms all the time.
Yeah, for example, like the... How do you call those big things? The oyster mushroom thingies or whatever. They're very big ones like this.
Okay.
And the texture very much resembles meat.
Oh, yeah.
But no, if I want to have mushrooms, I want to have them for the taste.
Right.
So not for the meaty part, let's say. Because if I wanted to have meat texture in my ciorba, I would have put meat in there.
That's fair. Because think about it, man. Mushrooms will grow out of a human body.
Yes.
I mean, it's gross to think about it, but...
You might end up as being the last at one point.
The last of whom, exactly? Mm-hmm. But now that I think about it, if... it's probably not going to taste the same, but a lot of... Maybe some mushrooms you gather from a forest actually grew out of the carcass of a goddamn deer or whatever, or a bunny rabbit or something. That's pretty fucking meaty, man. Those things feed on you as well as they feed on whatever grass or soil or whatever they find...
It's an actual organic being, right?
Right. What's the most disgusting Romanian food you've had?
Toba.
Oh my god. That's the most disgusting Romanian food I can think of anytime anybody ever asks me. That and caltaboș. Have you ever had that?
No, what's that?
I'm not entirely sure. It's something like a pate. It's still it's usually in like some like in an intestine. It's kind of like one of those parizer type joints.
Like a blood sausage kind of type.
Like a blood sausage kind of thing, but it's a lot pinker, and I'm not entirely. It's obviously boiled meat, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. But it's gross as fuck, man. It smells like shit. Toba can at least Toba in my recollection usually is very spicy and smoked or whatever, which I can get behind even if I find it objectively disgusting. But caltaboș, bro, that and lamb in general just makes me vomit, man.
Really?
Oh, bro. I can't fathom the smell. What's your opinion on the Soviet meat jelly?
The Soviet meat
Răcituri. You've had răcituri, right? I don't really know how to describe it exactly. Răcitură is that gelatinous thing that has like boiled meat in it. It's really not all that common in Cluj. It's more of a Moldova southern.
Isn't it like a sort of more eastern Toba?
I guess you could definitely draw a comparison between the two.
But no, man, I don't like jelly meat or whatsoever. No.
Let me show you a picture of this just so you understand what I'm talking about. And these are the ones that actually look good.
This is what the cats eat.
It is what the cats eat, isn't it? Jesus Christ, man. No, I find it to be like objectively disgusting.
Yes, it is.
What do we think? What do you think we fuck up in terms of cooking here? Because I know you think we fuck up sometimes.
Salt.
Too much, too little.
Too much. What I think is that the cuisine in Romania is mainly made to feed, right? Rather than to be very tasty. It's always
right.
Carbs, protein, maybe veggies.
Right. Where do you think that comes from? Your honest opinion.
My honest opinion, from being poor.
There you go.
That's it. And everything, I think, is because there is not a lot of condiments used or whatsoever. There is a lot of salt used. And everything is like really, really oversalted for my tastes, before I offend someone. Don't forget the woke community. Shout out to you. But yeah, man, most of the things are like very overly salty. And when people try to go spicy, from my experience, they do spicy as in burning spicy, right? I'm eating spicy food, so it burns everything in my mouth, and I'm having spicy food.
It was an overwhelming spiciness rather than a complimentary.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. However, let's be very honest. I mean, Varzara Cluj is technically deconstructed sarmale.
That is a deconstructed sarmale, isn't it?
Crazy. I love to eat that. That's a good one.
That Varzara Cluj is pretty fucking dope. Papanash is dope as shit, man. But that's not salty.
But the fuckers in this city, shout out to all those fuckers making papanash and boiling them or like frying them in the fucking chicken oil in which you just fry them. Yes, that's what they do, man.
Really?
There is only one place in Cluj where you order papanash that is not deep fried in chicken oil.
Yeah, are you fucking kidding me?
Man, my spouse and I, which we shall not name, ordered a lot of freaking papanash. Right? And then you have like a very nice pizza.
Sure.
Right? And then you have some papanash. You're like, yes, papanash is nice, right? And then you cut into it, and then it's like being at the KFC.
Oof.
Yes, that's terrible.
I don't think I've ever had that experience, but I'm gonna look out for it now that you
mention it. It's terrible.
Because it messes up with a lot of the... So how do you think we can fix that?
Fry it in clean oil?
No. Like cuisine in general that we fuck up in this.
I think it's actually fixing itself. You know what I noticed? That since I came to Cluj, and it was not very worldly orientated. I don't know how to put it. Like, there was not a lot. There was one Asian shop.
Okay.
With a very selective kind of producers.
Sure.
Like the very popular producers, let's say. Right? You would get your rice, your one type of noodles, some other random stuff and whatnot. And that's it. But later throughout the years, it diversified a lot more. If I now go into like hypermarkets, not going to do a shout out at hypermarkets because no, man, they need to drop their prices. But you actually see that the international section or whatnot, or even not even in the international section anymore, like in the normal sections, you have a way bigger variety of food, which is pretty cool because now you can actually find noodles, like udon noodles, for example, next to the spaghetti.
That is fucking crazy.
That was unheard of 5 years ago.
True. You're right.
That's cool.
I've noticed that for a lot of people, and I've noticed that particularly with my parents, because they've traveled all around Europe as far back as I was a child. Like the moment communism fell, I think in 1992 they spent New Year's in Warsaw or something. But they've as I was a kid, and I obviously as regardless of our means as a family, we didn't have that many options to begin with because, like you mentioned earlier, there wasn't that many options to choose from. We technically kept to Romanian cuisine. We'd adopted pizza and spaghetti because that was already kind of on the menu and it was pretty available and it wasn't that difficult to construct, but everything else was a bit off menu. My folks used to go to Bucharest a lot for their business when I was a kid, and the business they were in, which was retail clothing and shoes and whatnot, was actually funneled over by a lot of people from Asia, specifically from China, China, Vietnam, that type of area. Obviously, a lot of those people moved over to Bucharest, as you're probably aware of, in the Red Dragon area, and they brought their cuisine with them. So my folks got really introduced very quickly to Asian cuisine. They're pretty forward-thinking and they're pretty open-minded when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, for instance, if you personally were to meet with my parents, I mean, I'm sure they'd probably be a little silly and ignorant in the terms of. I was just gonna say that my father would just ask you about vindaloo and curry, but you're probably the right person to talk about when it comes to vindaloo and curry specifically.
It needs to have a specific vinegar, otherwise it cannot be called vindaloo.
But yeah, they're pretty open-minded to this kind of stuff, and as a result, I'd had Chinese food very early as a child, and I learned how to eat with chopsticks when I was like 10 years old or something, which was really crazy around here. And I saw that with people around my age way less often than you would imagine. Now I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to eat with chopsticks. Everybody's had udon noodles, everybody's had rice noodles and what have you, and sushi and whatever, especially in the city. But I think I got that experience a lot quicker than most people, and it was really eye-opening. And you know me, I love Asian cuisine. And by Asian cuisine, I mean like Chinese, Japanese, Indian food, whatever have you from there. It's Middle Eastern, I'd include it there. It's crazy.
Well, I think all types of cuisine are like very nice. I mean, everything has something very nice, and I think we should not exclude anything. But you know what made me very, very sad? Like, there is a certain person that I know.
Okay.
No shout out to that person.
Oh my god. I think we're overdoing shout outs. Right.
She actually told me that the first noodles or whatever she had was from some random thing in the mall or whatever.
Okay.
And it was considered something good.
Okay.
When I came to Romania, I was super happy that I would find noodles and fried rice, because, you know, that's what you grow up with as being a Surinamese, fried rice and noodles.
Sure.
I had it, I spat it out.
Spat it out?
I spat it out.
Wow.
Yellow,
that bad.
Yellow sign at freaking Julius Mall, never again.
I know.
You know.
I know.
But no, that was seriously super, super bad. And I got so sad that, like, how can you serve this to people? This is not even fried rice.
No, I get it.
I even know someone who makes fried rice with lard.
Oh.
Yes, I had the same reaction.
That sounds gross. But, you know, if it works for you,
Yeah.
what can I say? No, that's pretty fucking crazy, man.
But, you know, speaking of those exotic ingredients, right? Like, you can actually buy jackfruit now here. 4 years ago, when I was telling people, man, I ate jackfruit, blah, blah, like, what the fuck is jackfruit? I had to, like, import it and whatnot. But now you can just buy it in the store.
You can. I remember you were telling me this because you were heading over to the Netherlands a couple of years back, and you were very excited to bring us back some jackfruit and cook for us. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I had just started being vegetarian, or stopped eating meat technically, and I was really curious because I had heard it was a very good meat substitute in a lot of dishes. And you brought it over. I think we had some. I don't remember exactly what you cooked, but it was great. And I remember I talked to some friends at one point, and a couple of years later, and I was like, bro, have you guys ever had jackfruit? Because I have a friend of mine cooked it, and it was really great and whatever. And they were like, yeah, bro, you can buy it from Kaufland. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Because it all dawned on me in a matter of seconds that we actually have now opened up to the outside world culinarily.
Very cool.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. I've had so many types of cuisine in this. You know what the weird part is? Whenever I go to a different country, I try to sample their local cuisine. So I'll have whatever Hungarian, German, Norwegian, whatever the fuck the kind of foods they have there. But I will always go for the immigrant foods from there too. I was in Sweden. I had some sort of Turkish pizza, which they serve with some sort of salad, which is dope, by the way.
Lahmacun.
What's that?
Lahmacun.
Oh, I have no idea.
Man, that shit is awesome.
I have no idea.
If the Turks are doing something good, it's making that pizza.
What about the Moroccans, Shakeel? What are they doing good? Don't.
No. Man, I wanted to say they invented the tagine, which is pretty awesome.
Tagine is pretty dope. You're right.
Ha, got you there.
Fuck, you did get me there.
Man, I want to ask you something.
Please.
Would you eat a sarmale, veggie sarmale, but instead of the meat, it's jackfruit?
I'd be open to that in a heartbeat, of course. That sounds
Would
dope.
that like rupture the country?
I'm pretty sure that the moment people started making sarmale with mushrooms here, people started going crazy.
But you have sarmale the post, right? Which is a normal.
We do.
Which is a normal thing, right?
It is now.
It is now. Okay, you have to explain that.
I know it may. We do have post here, which you're very much familiar with. I'm sure that we don't eat meat before certain religious holidays. But sarmale is something we do. We traditionally used to do when we break that fast. So while obviously there are people, I'm not saying that's not a thing. It's probably in a lot of regions where this is the thing where they have sarmale during that post period. Sarmale is usually something that you, especially in my family and the people I grew up with, is something we had the moment the actual holiday rolled around. So we wouldn't have mushroom sarmale before Easter. We'd have the regular meat sarmale on the day of Easter, a couple of days afterwards, and my family for 2 weeks afterwards. Fucking crazy, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, obviously it is an option, but we wouldn't really have it. And with the advent of people becoming vegetarian in this country, which is for a lot of people is fucking crazy, we do have vegetarian sarmale now. But it's fucking bananas.
I do have to admit that when I came here, the food options were very limited, which was a bit depressing, let's say. So when I got here, there was actually not that much diversity into food, right? So it was either potatoes, beans, and it was always meat.
Right.
Meat.
Right. In terms of Romanian cuisine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I'm pretty sure that's still kind of the case for Romanian cuisine specifically.
But I think things will change. I don't know if it's because people don't know better, or like if meat is such a socially integrated part, and you need to eat meat and not meat, but you need to eat meat to actually like be a man, for example, because Burger King and McDonald's used to have those commercials, right?
Yeah.
You are a man if you eat meat.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
It's it's inculcated in us for sure, man. It's not such a big deal in more urban societies around
I
Romania.
Spoke to someone at work, shout out to you. She actually explained to me that in the south of Romania they don't eat that much meat.
They don't?
It's more chorba, veggie chorbas actually.
Sure.
And way less meat in their cuisine than we're having on this side. And she said it might be because of the sea and whatnot, and that there is more fish and other things grow there and blah, 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 blah.
So you don't think of fishes and seafood as meat?
I do.
You do?
I do.
I have this conversation a lot with a lot of people. Not combatively in any way, but a lot of people don't consider it to be meat.
No, I consider it to be meat. It's basically an animal from the sea, and an animal gives meat, so it's meat.
Okay.
But what I mean is that it's... Well, if you put it in terms of perspective, right, it's still healthier than actual land animal meat.
Sure. Healthier? How so?
Healthier. It is lighter. Okay. You digest it better, and it has better enzymes, fats, whatever not, right? Because you don't get omega-3 from a cow.
You don't get what, sorry?
Omega-3 from a cow.
Okay, yeah. But you get it from seaweed.
There you go.
Which I learned very recently.
So, yeah, I think the problem is that we eat too much meat on this planet. Or I'm going there now.
Yeah, you could argue
if there are more chickens than humans on this planet, it's a freaking issue.
That is fucking crazy.
And you think humans desire meat so much that they overpopulated animals and whatnot. We saw a show on a random streaming service about a dude who has a farm. He starts a farm. It's all impromptu, by the way. It's quite genius. And he shows how hard it is for a British farmer to actually start and do whatnot. But he also showed what they actually do with the animals, and I actually learned that when cows are born, like the tiny baby cows, they come out with a fucking fire gun, like Hans comes out with the Flammenwerfer, and off goes the horns, and that's how is that even normal?
Don't get me started on factory farming. I'm gonna address the elephant in the room and
move on.
Yeah, because I'm vegetarian, so obviously I do believe that by default that where factory farming is really creepy. And I'm not sure you're going to find a lot of people in this world who don't agree with that. Most sensible individuals, even if they do partake in it, and even if they have meat every day, and even if they eat McDonald's every day, or wherever you want to go with it, there's no way you can look at a factory meat farm and just say that it's fine that a baby cow comes out of it. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
Hey, kitty.
Happy thoughts.
What's the wackiest thing you've that still sticks with you in terms of what people do in this country that you still find weird, that I'm sure you can look at a lot of things through cultural relativism, right? So you find them maybe different to where you grew up, but it's not all that screwy. But it's something that you still find a little weird in terms of behavior. For me, for instance, I'm going to give you an example while you think about it. When I moved to Poland, everybody kept telling me that, listen, we're going to go out, we're going to go to a club, we're going to go to a bar, we're going to go to a pub, a karaoke place, whatever the hell we're going to go. People are going to start fighting outside. And I was like, well, people fight outside of bars wherever you go. No. You don't get it. People always fight outside of bars. Well, if they've had too much to drink, well, yeah, but not really. Because people will fight outside of bars in Poland oftentimes just for the fuck of it. Like, they'll be friends and start fights. They'll return to their own tables after they fought while still friendly with each other. And wherever I went, and I believe you me, I went to bars and they fought outside LGBT clubs in Poland, Shakeel. Like, you'd see the most flamboyant dudes with painted fingernails sucker punch each other outside the club and then go back inside and have a shot together. Do you have any of that kind of stuff around here that you noticed? Besides the fact that we put way too much salt in our food, which I will give you. We do tend to do that.
You know what is weird?
What is it?
The hospital in Cluj.
How so?
So, you get to UPU, emergency room, right?
No.
So, you're basically dying. You get to UPU. Then UPU tells you, yes, you need to get some tests done somewhere. Meaning, you need to get out of UPU while dying, into a taxi, to, I don't know, whatever section you need to go. Then you do your test there, yes. You do your test there. Then you get back in a taxi or someone drives you. And then you're getting driven back.
Kali, not on the laptop. Wherever you do, not on the laptop, bro.
Kali, come. You can be part of the show. Come.
So they put you in a cab to go somewhere else just to have some tests done.
Yeah, and then come back, and I was very, very sick at that point, and I had to go to separate place. Oh, when I broke my leg, my knee.
Right.
Went to UPU. Had to drive by car to another place to get an MRI done with the broken thingy and nothing to like hold it or whatever. Got the broken thing done. Had to go from there to another place and then back to UPU. And that's a disaster, man. Put all your stuff in one hospital.
Thing is, I'm pretty sure you can go to an emergency room in whatever hospital and they can't refuse you regardless of...
Yeah, they can. They let you in.
Yeah.
But then they tell you, we can't treat you here. You need to go to...
That's what I was going to say. I think that happened to me in Brasov one time because I went to one particular hospital with kidney stones and they didn't have like... Long story short, they thought I had a tumor, wasn't a tumor, whatever. They made me take an MRI, but they didn't have an MRI machine in that particular hospital. Granted, that hospital was literally a 5-minute walk away. Unfortunately, I couldn't walk because I was in tremendous pain, but... I still had to go to a different place, so I get what you mean there.
Mm-hmm. But that's not necessarily weird. I'm trying to think what is necessarily weird here.
You know what else is fucked up about Poland? They really love this Romanian song called Kylie by Accent.
Yes, man. I have a Polish colleague. Shout out to the Polish colleague.
Hey, bro. So dumb.
And I told him I'm from Romania, blah, blah, blah. And then he randomly asked me, do you listen to Manele? I'm like, yes. And then he popped out CDs of Nicolae Guț, Florin Salam, and I was like,
they have their own. They have their own kind of Nicolae, their own kind of Florin Salam.
Mm-hmm.
This dude that they kind of call the king of disco polo. They refer to it as.
Yes, disco polo.
Disco polo is a. It's not because Manele is a very, like you said earlier, very Middle Eastern, Indian sort of vibe type of music. Disco polo is still very much European. It's all sorts of schlagers and all that kind of music from back in the day, but basically still pop music. And this dude is really in with the mafia, like Frank Sinatra tier in with the mafia. His name is Don Vasil, and that man looks like a Don Vasil, let me tell you.
Shout out to Don Vasil.
Don Vasil. I was on a dating app at one point there, and I found a girl who had a picture of herself with her tongue stretched out on top of a Don Vasil poster. I'm like, I have never heard this man's music, but he definitely looks like the kind of music I would listen to.
No, you know what I found weird?
What?
I had to think about it. That you go to a wedding and you give money.
That's a gypsy thing. Not necessarily. From what I understand, it's also an American thing. It's people do it around the world, but in Romania, particularly, weddings in Romania follow a lot of. People in this country, they have a problem with the whole gypsy thing.
But the thing is that sorry to interrupt you, but the thing is that hey, you went to a wedding, you got a certain amount of presents, and then the next question is how much money did you make?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's a big fucking deal because it's a big investment.
Yeah, but like for us, we would say that, for example, I'm getting married, I'm inviting you. So if I'm inviting you, like basically I just invited you over for food, right? And then I'm expecting you to pay me for it.
You know what it is? I find it as weird as you do, and I find it a little bit distasteful too, but I kind of get it. In terms of we in this country we have a lot of these traditions are tied with something that we like to call obligații. Because a lot of people think of a wedding as an investment, not just in terms of it's going to cost me a lot for the food, for the drinks, for the DJ, for the place, for the accommodations, for whatever. But you also have to take into account the fact that you went to other people's weddings and that you paid them money, so you want to make that money back. We have obligații. That's why you invite people to weddings that you don't actually genuinely want there, maybe just friends of your parents or whatever, because well, your parents paid money there. They gotta make their money back somehow. Your father's probably paying for your wedding if you're the bride traditionally. So yeah.
And that takes away of the whole thing of.
I kind of agree with you.
So yeah,
I kind of do. But yeah, circling back to that, people in this country are a little kooky with when it comes to gypsies. But a lot of the traditions in a Romanian wedding are very much inspired by that kind of stuff. You know about the whole kidnapping of the bride thing, right? That is not a Romanian tradition, no matter how many racist people in this country want to tell you otherwise. That is a very gypsy thing to do, and all of us, well, not all, obviously, but like a lot of people genuinely still enjoy it. And people don't like to admit that. But it's a fun thing, man. There's that, I can't actually think about anything else right now. There's a bunch of them. Whoa! That was really scary, bro. These cats really come out of nowhere sometimes. I wish you guys could see the cats, but they're not always around here. That's a pretty fucking kooky thing, though. I'll be honest with you.
So, speaking of diversity, right? We were talking about food while you look up your questions. Cluj got so diverse that right now you can get a goat's head, a cooked goat's head.
That's fucking disgusting.
Ethiopian.
That's Ethiopian?
Yes.
Really?
There is an actual Ethiopian restaurant that serves a goat's head.
There's an Ethiopian restaurant in Cluj?
Yes.
That's the first time hearing about that. I ate at a Lebanese place a couple of weeks back. Man, marhaba, those motherfuckers.
Shout out.
Fucking shout
out.
Marhaba, bro. It was the first time I went to a restaurant in Romania where the staff did not speak Romanian. Obviously, I didn't have a problem with that, but not only did I not have a problem with that, I found it fucking dope, man, because those dudes are busy making this experience authentic. They don't have time to speak Romanian. Fuck you. What do you want to eat?
Yeah, well, that's actually nice. Because you actually go to a restaurant to enjoy food that you cannot make at home, right? So you basically go for the experience. That's why I go to McDonald's, because I can't make that at home.
Oh my god, I haven't had McDonald's in such a long time. Last time was about 2 years ago. A friend of mine who was also vegetarian at the time, she and I were on vacation. We were stuck in traffic and we wound up in Râmnicu Vâlcea of all places, and we couldn't find. We were famished, man. We've been on the road since 5 a.m. and it was like afternoon, and so we just stopped into a McDonald's. We bought a double cheeseburger each. We just sat there in silence and we ate it. We never talked about it. That was kind of the last time I think I had meat, if I'm honest. But no, I get it, man. McDonald's is great. I get it. It's gross, but it's great.
How long do you think it will take for McDonald's in Romania to adopt the veggie stuff that McDonald's has in Western Europe? Because when we went in Holland, we had this whole list of veggie options. And don't get me wrong, they were fucking great. At the Burger King, we had an veggie Whopper. That shit was amazing.
Right. I think it's gonna be a while. I have no idea why though, because it's not looking like it's becoming a thing, and it's fucking crazy. I remember when I was in the Netherlands last time, I think it was like 4 years ago, they had a bunch of fucking options in the Burger King. We were talking about this earlier, the Burger King and the McDonald's, man. It was not just vegan patties in terms of like Beyond Meat or whatever, but like
the whole
just made out of
shebang.
vegetables, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. You know what also, and this actually applies to Romania too. When I was in Poland, McDonald's had no vegetarian options, just like in Romania. The KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chicken joint on the corner of the street I was living on, had all sorts of vegan vegetarian options, bro. You could get a halloumi burger. You could get a.
That shit's nice though.
It's pretty dope. I love a halloumi burger. You could get a veggie wrap. You could get all sorts of things, man. Here, on the other hand, I have no idea what... McDonald's, get off your fucking ass, man. I love your fries. I'm going to eat at McDonald's even though I don't eat meat, but just make something up. I don't know. The pies are not going to do it. And the McFlurry machine's always broken. We know that. Ice cream at McDonald's is a whole fucking thing, though, too, isn't it?
The McFlurry is awesome.
Shakeel, one last thing I want to ask you about. I don't even know how to phrase it, because I think that there needs to be a preamble for this, and I'm wondering if you still have them. But I always think about those kooky kokalar shoes of yours, the blue laced ones.
I don't have those anymore.
What happened to them?
They got damaged, so I had to toss them out.
Of course you did.
But I got new flowery ones instead.
Of course you did. Good God, man. The amount of crazy shoes you had, don't get me wrong, they were crazy in the best possible way, but the amount of crazy shoes you have. I know man doesn't look like it, but he'd always wear a goddamn suit and at least a jacket and some dress shoes to work. And it was fucking bananas, man.
Not anymore, pandemic hits. Now I just wear, what is it? Adidashes. I'm becoming a true Slav now.
You're pretty Slaving it up, aren't you? Oh man, I'm gonna miss those shoes. Do you still have pictures of them?
No.
Because nobody's gonna believe those shoes ever existed, let alone were worn by a human being.
I'm trying to get another pair of it.
Oh my God. Please keep me up to date.
I will.
Because the Doc Martens are just not going to do it, man. And you know that. One more thing I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this, but I try to ask people this. And before I go into it, there is a correct answer. Paraziţii or B.U.G Mafia? It was a long shot. I tried. But I genuinely want to do this all the time. Shakeel, to address the elephant in the room one more time. I want to thank you very much for doing this with me.
Shouldn't you explain what the thing is?
What?
What you just said.
B.U.G Mafia and Paraziţii? I'll tell you off camera. They know.
Ah, okay. They don't want to see my reaction when you tell me?
It's going to be boring.
Okay.
It's just two rap bands from Romania. It's not as interesting as you think it is, unless you already knew about it.
Is it that fucker that is like in some random music video, like half nakedish with two guns and all kinds of tattoos? And
No, that's Dani Mocanu. That's a Manele guy.
Ah, okay. I know my Manele. Wait, but there are two rap groups in Romania, right?
Well,
two very big ones, let's say.
These are kind of the ones, yeah. well, traditionally, there's way bigger ones now beyond those guys. But these guys have been around since like the 90s. Them and another group, La Familia.
Okay.
And, long story short.
Wait. Is one of them like, okay, all white?
Oh, they're all white.
No hair?
No, I don't think that's...
And full black?
No, I don't
like
know
a bit towards skinheads kind of style.
No, I don't think that's... Listen, Paraziţii is basically some dudes that are really fucking offensive, pretty misogynistic, and borderline disgusting, man. I mean, I always mention this on this goddamn show, but they have a song about pissing in the elevator, and they sing about it with such gusto and bravado. It's fucking gross. I mean, I know it's supposed to be funny, and it is a little funny, but when most of your discography is just making fun of people for being dumb and then just talking about pissing in the elevator, I can't take you very seriously. I know it's not supposed to be taken seriously, but fuck them. This is Paraziţii. B.U.G Mafia on the other side is just party music. It's stupid. It's probably stupider than Paraziţii. But B.U.G Mafia is funny.
Is it as stupid as Carla's Dream?
Carla's Dream isn't stupid. Why do you think Carla's Dream is stupid?
I'm just asking, trying to see what level they are at.
No.
To Carla's Dream and then the rest.
Carla's Dream is pop music. This is hip hop, and B.U.G Mafia is. They're also very misogynistic. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of their songs are just about objectifying women and doing drugs or whatever. But it's a lot more fun than it is angry. Let's just put it that way. I'm glad I could have at least brought you a little bit of insight into shitty Romanian hip hop music. There's a lot better bands out there than those two. But hopefully we'll do this again, and next time you'll know a lot about Paraziţii and B.U.G Mafia, and you can start slapping me around that I made the wrong decision, as some people are wont to do around here. Vă pupă, frații, și o seară faină.
It's very nice.
Cineva care livrează pentru taz.
Fii magie, fra.
De ce? Sunt curios dacă atunci când le dai direct în aplicație înainte să știi că plătești cu cardul și le dai direct ca să nu mai... Sunt curios dacă le apare și lor în aplicație înainte să le apare după ce au livrat.
Taci mă, Paul, când stici filmarea.
Da, și am încet cu rază, nu știu ce zice acolo.
Uite și aici, mâncați-și pula ta, coaie miu.